Let's see how to use geographics to draw a map of the United States with some charts on each US state. And actually, I think the finished result looks better if we don't have Alaska and Hawaii. So let me show you one way to get rid of those. I can use some set theory and say, let's take the complement. So let's start with this entities, and let's remove everything that's in the list Alaska. Or Hawaii. Okay, so notice that Alaska used to be second and now it's gone. Hawaii used to be here, now it's gone. So this is like saying, take away anything from this list, from the entities list. And that doesn't change the value of entities, so I need to give this a name. Let's call it US. And for this plotting, we need to know what are the locations of these different states. So one way to get that is, like as an example, here's Arkansas, and I can get the entity property position. And just as an example, let's do geographics. So, and let's do GeoMarker. So the geographics is saying, let's draw something, and then this GeoMarker is saying what to draw. And we're going to draw it at whatever location Mathematica specifies for Arkansas. Okay, and there we can see what the default marker looks like. Okay, it's this red symbol here. And if I want to specify a different image. So eventually what I'd like to do is specify a bar chart. So let's just make a random bar chart using delayed assignment. So let me just call this A. So bar chart is going to be random integer. And let's say the heights of the bars are from 0 to 100. Okay, just doing 100 would be the same thing. And let's say there are 5 of these bars. Okay, that looks like it's worked. And so here, what was the input to GeoMarker? It was, what's the position where we want the GeoMarker? It can also take a second input where it says, what type of marker should we use? Or like, what image should we use? Or what graphic should we use for the marker? And so it might be hard to see, but there's a little bar chart here. Let's make it bigger by using scale. And for me, this is just some guessing and checking to see what number works well. Let's try with 5. So 5 didn't work, 10 was too big. Okay, I think 5 probably was also too big, and I just didn't see it. Yeah, so that looks like a good size. And so that is doing it for one state, for Arkansas. And let's zoom out so that we can see it in proportion a little better. Okay, so there's Arkansas, and there's my plot. So how can I do this for all 48 of these states, or maybe 49 if District of Columbia is in there? So instead of using a single geomarker here, okay, I'm going to put in a list. So let me take this away. And so instead of this US bracket bracket 3, okay, let's just put a random input here, or an arbitrary input. Arbitrary would be a better word for this. And let's make this a pure function. And then let's apply it to all 49 of these things inside the US list. And notice that for each of these A's that shows up, it gives a different bar chart. So it's not always the same one because I used delayed assignment. And notice that the scales are different for these. Like the y-axis range is different. Like this one goes 0 to 100. This one goes 0 to 70. So I can change that by saying plot range. And then I only have to specify the range of the heights. So let's say 0 to 100. Okay, and let's try this again. Now you can see that even though the maximum bar here only goes up to 65, the chart still goes up to 100. And let's try to graph this. So let's do geographics. And let's see how this looks. Okay, not bad. So let's do image size, and let's say 1000 to make it bigger. And you can see where the states are smaller, like in the Northeast, these charts look a little bit worse. Okay, I could make them smaller by saying, let's make them all half the size. Okay, and then I'd say it looks a little worse in the western half of the United States and looks a little better in the eastern half of the United States. And maybe we'd like the background of the map to be a little less busy. So here's one way we can do that. We can say geo background, and then the plainest one I know of is this coastlines. Okay, so all it's really showing is where is land and where is the sea next to the United States. And maybe I'd like different colors for the bars so that there's more contrast. So one way I can do that is to say chart style blue. Okay, and then if we try this again, now all of these bars should turn blue. And yeah, in real life, probably the bar charts that are getting drawn, so this second argument into GeoMarker, probably that would not just be some completely random chart that has nothing to do with the state. Probably this would also depend on like what entity are you plugging in, and then it would be some bar chart based on that specific state rather than this, which is just random bar charts for each state.